Hi guys, John here with another installment of my video blog. Today I wanted to talk about something that kind of dawned on me the other day. And it's something to do with the Harry Potter franchise. Now, as most of you know, I was completely indifferent to the first two Potter films, I didn't think of the Ark yet. I really didn't like the third one, and I know most people did, but I didn't. But I ended up loving the fourth and the fifth installments of the Potter franchise, to my surprise. And I've been really getting into it. Came into the sixth film, and as you saw from my review, I did not like the sixth film. I mean, it did some things very, very well, but I thought it really screwed up a lot of stuff. And I ended up giving it like a 5 out of 10. So, but I was having a conversation with Chuck Norris the other day. My old producer, Chuck Norris, not the martial arts Chuck Norris. And he had just seen Harry Potter 6, and he didn't really like it all that much either. And we were talking about the franchise. And we started saying, you know, there's just something about the franchise overall, even though there's some installments that are really great, that just has something that seems missing from it. A major, life veins in it that just seem to be missing that aren't there. And I think we came across what it is. I think I've put my finger on what it is about the Potter franchise as a whole, and it does many things well, but the one aspect of the Potter franchise that I think is a real weakness in the franchise, and that is this: the lack of an antagonist. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, but John, I mean, the Potter has an antagonist. It's Voldemort, the Dark Lord. But it doesn't really have him. I mean, I just saw part 6 of Harry Potter, and he's not even in it. Like, for a second, he's not even there. Now, let's look at some other film franchises that have a Dark Lord. Star Wars, which has the Dark Lord of the Sith, and Lord of the Rings, which has the Dark Lord Sauron. I've always said in action films that one of the key ingredients to an action film is a good villain. You look at some of the great all-time action films. The Die Hards always have a great villain, especially the first one, Hans Gruber, right? Star Wars, of course, Darth Vader. I mean, great action films have great villains. But it's not just pure action films that need good villains. And Potter is not a pure action film, obviously, but it's partially an action film. But it's also a fantasy adventure film, and I think it extends to that as well. You need a good, solid protagonist. Voldemort is a good villain. But the problem is he is never there. You look at Star Wars, Darth Vader is constantly present, and I'm talking about the original trilogy, obviously. Darth Vader is constantly a presence throughout the Star Wars franchise. He's always there. His face always comes up. The audience he's always put back in front of the audience to remind them of what's at stake, to remind them of who the villain is, to remind them of what the hero is fighting against. Even in Lord of the Rings, in Peter Jackson's movie versions of the Lord of the Rings, he made Sauron even more prominent than in the books. And Sauron is just a disembodied spirit figure. But he found a way to always put him back in front of the audience, whether it's just the glowing, blinking eye in a vision in one of Frodo's visions, or whether we cut to a scene in Mordor where we see the eye on top of the tower. Peter Jackson always brings us back to the villain in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, to keep that in front of the audience. And I think that is one of the things that has always kind of gnawed at me about the Potter franchise. Is sporadically here and there in the odd movie, Voldemort will show up for a little bit, and they'll always talk about he who cannot be named, but he's never there. He's never put back in front of the audience. We are given no main antagonist to drive our story. Yes, we know that Harry knows about Voldemort and all that kind of stuff, but he's just not there, and I think that's an essential part of the telling of the story. And I realize some people say, well, he's not really there that much in the books. Well, that's fine, but the books are a different medium. I think, much like what Peter Jackson did, I think it would have been beneficial for the films to find a way, without changing the story, to have Voldemort more of a presence in the film, give us that antagonist, put him back in front of us as the audience, to help drive that story. And anyway, that was just a little bit of revelation that came to me and Chuck while we were talking, and I thought I wanted to do a video blog about it and see what you guys thought. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm completely off base. Do you guys agree? Do you guys not agree? What do you think? Thanks for joining me on my video blog. For the movie blog, I'm John Campea.